10 seconds. Hey, find someone you're sitting with or someone near you that you can wish a Shabbat Shalom to. Introduce yourself to them. If you're online, send us a Shabbat Shalom to one another as well. Introduce yourselves. Say where you're watching from and help us make Shabbat a little more special. Bim, bam, bim, 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 bam, bim.
Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, Shabbat. Shabbat, Shabbat, Shalom, Shabbat, Shalom, Shabbat, Shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shalom, Bim, bam, bim, 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 bam,
Bim, 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 bim. Yai, dai, 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 bim, bam, bim. It's a CAYA service, a casual service, a meditation service, a peaceful service. We won't necessarily use the prayer book, but you're always welcome to grab it and follow that along with our prayers. But we do begin this evening with the lighting of our Shabbos candles as the sun is set. I invite Paul Glazer, our newest member, I believe, in Temple Shir Shalom, to come help us in the lighting of the Shabbos tapers. So it's nice that we can come together on Shabbat to give ourselves a moment of peacefulness, of calm. Every week as we get ready for Shabbat, two thoughts come to mind. Often, how is it already Friday? How's the time for Shabbat? How is it that our week has gone so quickly? But two, there's often something each week that strikes me to think a little more deeply, that I read, I find, and I say, this is what will get me in the mood for Shabbat. So as we open, I share this poem with you from Amanda Gorman, sort of our poet laureate right now of this country. She wrote, "Every day we are learning how to live with essence, not ease, how to move with haste, never hate, how to leave this pain that's beyond us behind us. Just like a skill or any art, we cannot possess hope without practicing it. It is the most fundamental craft we demand of ourselves." So I ask you, as we begin Shabbat together, maybe to close your eyes, take a deep breath. Breathe in God's gift to each and every one of us. Breathing out our gift to this world. Think about that idea. We cannot possess hope without practicing it. We're told it is our people's gift to this world. The idea, despite frustrations, challenges, difficulties that surround us, somehow we hold on to hope. We find hope in our world. We begin as we kindle the Shabbos candles. And just as we did with our children at preschool this morning, and everyone left with their own candle, reminding them that they bring more light into the world, so as individuals, so as a people, we bring more light, more hope into our world. Maybe that's the reason we light individual candles to welcome Shabbat, whether 2 or 3 or how many we might put at our table. But when we conclude Shabbat traditionally, as we find 3 stars in the sky, we find a braided candle we raise for Havdalah. Because all of those flames come together as one flame in a sense. All of those candles are braided together in one grandiose flame. And the idea that when we are a community, that much more light comes from us to each other and to our world. The beauty of that is something that resonates. It's why traditionally, as much as we can light candles at home and have Shabbat at home, there's something about being a part of that which is bigger than ourselves. And yes, for those of us in the sanctuary tonight, we feel it. For those online with us tonight, we can feel it as well, because we're connecting. We're bringing our light, our individual light, our own hope to our community to make better, to make more, to make greater. And how special that is. How important that is. This time of year, in these shortest days of the year, where there is so little light physically, and our sun sets so early, and our skies are so often gray, and we can find ourselves feeling a little bit of malaise and despair, we have purpose. We have intent. We have that which makes our days worthwhile. We have hope.
Peace will come, and let it begin with me. Shalom, shalom yavo, she'achil iti. God of my soul, let it breathe.
So as we use the prayers as a vehicle to lift ourselves up spiritually, maybe in the midst of them, they can take us wherever we may want. The prayers are a guide, but they're that sense, that rubric that help us direct our thoughts. Though for many of us, our minds are racing and we're thinking of a lot of things. So tonight, think about what we do to make more peace in our world, more hope in our world, more goodness that we connect with one another. And so with that, we come together as a community as we rise for our call to worship our Baruch Hu.
Teach us how to live, fill our hearts with joy and all the love you have to give. Shelter us in peace as you lead us to your name, and we will know that you are one. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם להיות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
It's been a few weeks since I've been on the Bema here, as my travels have taken me with members of Temple all over the globe, whether it was a wedding in Boca for a weekend or a wedding in Palm Beach for a weekend or in between a few weeks in Israel, all with friends of Shir Shalom. But what was interesting, and I was talking to someone earlier today about our prayers and this individual was with me both in Florida and in Israel at one point, the idea of our prayers often being the same, wherever we find ourselves. So 2 weeks ago, welcoming Shabbat, sitting with 38 people from Temple, singing together the prayer Hashkivenu, reminding ourselves in the midst of a storm in the desert, which was exciting because we got to chase flash floods, but that's a whole different story you can ask about at Tish. The idea of the unknown nature in our lives. But we as a people have experienced that wherever we have found ourselves. The recognition that we never know what tomorrow brings. We make plans and the reality of things that happen that are unexpected. Things that we have to pivot and connect with and figure out what to do. And for me, the prayer Hashkivenu is sort of this grounding in that moment. This idea that in the midst of wherever I find myself, I can still focus on what I hope for and what I need in my life. That which connects me to one another. So whether I find myself in the warmth of Florida, and it was really lovely last week, but I was working, or in the rain in Israel when we were trying to be on top of Masada and it was thunder and lightning on top of Masada and we had to get off very quickly. You don't want to be in the tallest place and the lowest place of earth when it's lightning. But that we could still find comfort as we came together that evening in our prayers and saying, well, we made meaning in our day. And tomorrow we want to make meaning again. That when we wake up, that the sun will rise, maybe we'll see it, maybe we won't. Maybe the sky will be gray and it'll be snowing, maybe beautiful and sunny, but I'm going to be okay. Because we have that perspective of what matters most. The connections we find in our world, that flames, the individual flames we bring together to make something brighter than ourselves, to make our world a better place. To give ourselves that hope. To be able to say, let us lie down, God. Permit us to wake up in the security of knowing that we are safe and loved. Be a shield around us. Keep enemies, disease, violence, homelessness, hunger far away from those we love. And keep us strong as a community, as well as individuals, so we can see the blessings that are there with us every day.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom ve'amidenu malkeinu l'chaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom ve'amidenu
This week, as we open the Torah, we find ourselves starting a new book, the book of Exodus. We find ourselves in the Torah portion known as Shemot, which means names, but it's the beginning of our Exodus story, where we hear of Moses being born, drawn out of the water, slaying a taskmaster, running off, and then finding himself alone in the desert, shepherding, when he comes upon a bush that we call the burning bush. In a little bit, when we take Torah out for the Mishaberach, you'll see a depiction of that burning bush in the words, Hasnei eineno ochel, that the bush was not consumed. For Moses, being out in the wilderness, seeing a burning bush that was on fire, but which didn't turn to ash, it was a miraculous event. And it was through that bush that God spoke to Moses, that he was able to hear that voice commanding him, telling him to go back to the land of Egypt, the land that he had just fled from, and to free the Jewish people, the Israelites who were there. How many times did other people walk by a burning bush like that? And they just didn't notice, didn't hear God's voice calling out to them. Was Moses the only one, or were there others? See, the one that was in tune with what was going on around him. We're told Elijah the prophet said that God's voice comes from within. It's that still small voice within each and every one of us, our conscience. And so as we prepare to enter into the words of the Amidah, we're given an opportunity for our own private conversations with God. Maybe it's that still small voice within you as we take a moment now for our own meditation that we'll hear. Or that you'll be able to share and have your own private conversation with God or hear the words that you need to hear. So we take a moment now for private meditation. Please pray silently.
Has blown the marketplace away. There is a song on the wind and joy in the trees. Shabbat has arrived in the world, scattering the song in the silence of the night. And eternity utters a day, and eternity utters a day. Has blown the marketplace away. There is a song on the wind. There is a song on the wind, and joy in the trees, and joy in the trees. Shabbat has arrived. Shabbat has arrived in the world, scattering the song in the silence of the night. I Adonai, Siflatai Tiftachu Fi, Yagid Tehilatecha. Eternal God, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your glory. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, ve'Elohei Avoteinu ve'Imoteinu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Leah, Elohei Rachel, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Koneh HaKol, V'Zocher Chastei Avot Ve'imahot, U'Mevi Geula Lifnei V'Nehem, Lema'an Shemo V'Yahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magin Avraham Ve'ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Leolam Adonai, Mechaye HaKol Atah Rav Lehoshia, Mashiv HaRuach U'Morid HaGashem, Mechalkel Chayim Bechesed, Mechaye HaKol Berachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim Verofei Cholim, Umatir Asurim, Umkayem Emunato, Lishenei Afar, Micha Mocha Baal Gevurot, Umido Melach, Melech Memit U'Mechaye, U'Matzmiach Yeshua, V'Ne'eman Atah LaHachayot HaKol, Baruch Atah Adonai, Mechaye HaKol. Atah Kadosh V'Shimcha Kadosh, U'Kadoshim B'chol Yom Ya'alu Chasela. Baruch Atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh. In the midst of our prayers on Shabbat, so we bring Torah into our midst and connect ourselves with not just our tradition and not just the knowledge and wisdom and learning of our people, but also with that sense that we hope and that we gain strength together as a community. As we turn our prayers to those in need of healing at this time, linking ourselves with them, mentioning their names out loud, reaching out and touching the Torah, connecting ourselves, and in a sense, by sharing names, so do we give ourselves that responsibility of connecting and making sure those in our community are well taken care of. Yisberach Avotenu Avraham Yitzchak Yaakov V'Imotenu Srav Kalei Avrachel. Hu Yivarech et Cholim, merciful God, who has blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Leah, and Rachel. Send your blessings to our loved ones who are stricken with illness, anxiety, friends, and family we think of at this time. Amy Drysdale Atler, Suzanne Becker, Doreen Billett, Michael Brody, Blanche Crane, Karen Kasman, Patty Seresny, Michael Eisen, Barbara Esrig, Carl Fisher, Ann Gautreau, Leo Girardi, Danielle Goldberg, Barry Grant, Batia, Esha Panina, Ava Haber-Kornholm, Taya Hall, Hank Heiser, Carol Kaufman, Gil Cleef, Karen Coltoneau, Marta Lazar, John Marjolis, Kathy Link, Libby McIntyre, Zoe Marcus, Stuart Markovsky, Maureen Majeski, Sean Majeski, Gail Mintz, Lev Herschelman Ami, Yisrael Shapir, Ben Mindel Batuvia, Linda Newman, Rezel Batlea Miriam, Melanie Pohl, Eileen Bercelli, Eve Ryder, Rachel Mibet Chaim Bachava, Arthur Reish, Marcy Fisher-Reiners, Jan Rival, the St. Amand family, Neil Sefferman, Dolores Silverstein, Bernard Sklar, Roberta Sanino,
Guy Stern, Susanna Stern, Barbara Storm, Lucas Sousa, Harit Zapata, as well as all the names in our hearts. Baruch atah Adonai Raphael Chalim. Bless you, God, give strength to those in need.
Source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו
The mystics teach us that the Kaddish has different meanings every time it is recited. In their minds, it is a prayer that links earth to heaven and bridges the chasm between the living and the dead. The Kaddish is the assurance that the soul is enduring and the human spirit is indestructible. It is a prayer that permits a child to remember a parent and a parent to remember a child. It is an opportunity to bind wounds and bring generation closer to generation. In light and in darkness, it is all of these and more. For it is our people's memory of the best that life has to offer. And so on this Shabbat, we think of those friends and family who have been taken from us in these most recent days. Hushiva Shloshim we mark. Danny Weintraub, Louise Hoffman, Donna Perlman, Bernard Brodsky, Harold Schwedel, Shelley Barr, David Schwedel, Henry Leopold, Lorraine Gaynor, Reverend Michael Link, Vernon Leopold, Eric Kerman, Rosalind Weiner, Donna Hoshiar, Jerry Felder, Barbara Seidman, Liz Shubo, Roberta Bobby Galix, Manuela User, and the 4,586 Americans of our armed forces who have been killed in Iraq and the surrounding areas to date. And to their names, we add those whose yard-sites we mark, those of whose anniversary of passing we lovingly commemorate. Edith Averbuck, Rosalind Block, Philip Dorff, Leroy Dunn, Marshall Fruman, Meep Gies, Edith Ginsburg Silverman, Helen Goldman, Stella Himmelstein, Dolores Heinz, Samuel Zalman Hirschman, Rhoda Itzkovitz, David Kahan, Irene Levine, Michael Ledger, Marvin Mager, Abraham Marcus, Marjorie Pastor, Jesse Poland, Kate Romanek, David Lee Rosenthal, Jack Rowans, Ida Sanders, Sonia Sermon, Harry Shapiro, Larry Singer, Noreen Solomon, Neil Warner, along with all the names in our hearts. And those who have no one to say Kaddish for them, do we join together in the immortal words of the Kaddish page as found on page 46 in our prayer books, praising God for the gift of life. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'almad divrach chirutei ve'amlich malchutei, b'chayachon u'vyom echon u'v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'vizman kariv v'imru. Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mivarach le'olam omei amaya, yitbarach v'yishabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, V'yitadar, v'yitalev, v'yitalal, shmei d'kudusha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechamata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mramav, huya say shalom, Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. May the source of peace and peace to all who mourn. Comfort to all the bereaved among us here and everywhere. As together we say, Amen.
Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael.
Good Shabbos, everyone.
Shabbos, Rabbi.
Few things to announce. Of course, it's Martin Luther King weekend, and Monday being the holiday, and at Temple Shir Shalom, we spend our Sunday really dedicated to Dr. King's legacy and mission, and we have our Tikkun Olamathon. I think it's our 14th Tikkun Olamathon, Rabbi? Our 14th Tikkun Olamathon, where instead of being in Shoresh in religious school classes, all of our families come together here at Temple and help out with 19 different organizations, both on-site and off-site, doing great work. And so if you want to sign up for something and want to be a part of it, you're welcome. Is that okay?
Yeah, we still have spots.
I thought you were going to say, no,
No.
it's too late. So please, we love having more a part of this, and over 200 have signed up already, so it's a great morning and day to do different things that help our community and help our world. That's on Sunday. Monday, my class continues, the To Life, L'chaim class on, I forget what it's about. I mean, I know what it's about, but I forget.
Philosophy.
I know it's a philosophy class. I forget the tagline of it. It was really a good tagline, wasn't it? The Jewish way of life and living, or I don't know. It's a good class, though, right? Yeah. I mean, Paula joined after class, so I hope so. So, we opened up the registration for our trip to Charleston in May 15th, 16th, 17th. We'll be going as a congregation, and so it should be a great trip that I'll be leading, and looking forward to that as well. So individuals and couples together to come and join that and be a nice time to enjoy the spring in Charleston. Other things to share? It's not too late to sign up for the Motor City mission to join Bob and Paulette and me and 120 other people in Israel this March. What day do we leave?
12th?
Sunday, the 12th? Monday, the 13th it begins. I don't know. I just got home from Israel 8 days ago, so it's a whirlwind.
The only other thing, just to mention, next week we have a special Shabbat as well. So some of you know that we've been adding special Shabbats where we do a 6:30 service and then followed by an extended oneg of some sort. And so next week, I think the theme is Shabbat Toddies.
Shabbat Toddy.
And so a wonderful Kabbalat Shabbat, welcoming Shabbat
You're going to
service.
love this. Bob, you'll sleep well. Shabbat Toddies, come on. Scotch, bourbon, or mezcal with your toddy. Come on. So you take a little, you're going to love the one with mezcal. It's a little smoky. You take the jasmine tea and then a little demerara syrup with there. Come on. It's really, and some lime juice. Yeah, I'll make it for you. Don't worry. I got you set up.
And there'll be some other things to nosh on as well, and some other drinks served too.
Non-alcoholic
so it's
beverages
a nice
too.
evening. But it helps us out if you're going to join us, which we'd love for that to happen, that you RSVP online just so that we can tell our caterer and we have the right amount of food and nosh and other things.
Yes. So January 20th is a special oneg Shabbat Toddy, and then February 7th or 10th or 10th. No? 17th?
Good question.
3rd?
The 10th, so the 3rd is
Hold on.
third is our sixth grade honor Shabbat, so we welcome you all to that as well as our sixth graders lead services that night. I think it's the 10th that we're doing our other special oneg, and then if you're down in Florida on the 17th, we have our special service that's happening down there with Cantor and Rabbi Mike. He does travel a lot. I'll be here, so
It's
if you
all
want to
work.
join me here, enjoying a beautiful Shabbat, Kabbalat Shabbat that evening as well.
Yes. For those in Florida watching, come to B'nai Israel, but you got to register on February 17th to join Cantor and me for a beautiful service.
It'll be fun. Great to see everybody.
Questions, a moment of Tish before we conclude our services. Dean.
So I was listening to NPR today, and they had a show on there about the new Israeli government and how it's seemed to be shifted.
Seem to be?
Way to the right. That one of the things you were talking about that was basically they said could not be part of anything, did some creative changes to now I guess part of it.
Yeah, I
So Dean was asking about the newly formed government in Israel.
Yeah, I was talking about hope before in services, but if you want to talk about the Israeli government, I'm not so sure where that's coming from. So Dean's question about the new Israeli government and what Rabbi Schwartz thinks about it. So that was elected the first week of November and was, I don't know what they call it, installed or whatever, last week in Israel, and some of the policy changes they're creating. And it's not just, the Likud is, the conservative, the right-wing party in Israel, but it's far right of the Likud party that has now been created as a coalition that has 64 or 65 seats in the Knesset right now. So
So the challenge is, in order for them to have a government, they have to have a majority. So the 64, 65 seats, which no party by itself has enough seats to be able to do that. So they form these coalitions. And in years past, there have been some political parties that get enough votes that are usually in the minority, as some of these far right wingers and some of the thoughts that they have that is not usually what most Israelis stand for. But the challenge is finding a party that's going to go along with the leader of one of the parties who is charged with putting together this coalition, and he looked for people that were going to be supportive of his agenda. And there's this very specific things that are within his agenda, including, I would say, staying out of jail. And so those who were willing to go along with some of the things that Prime Minister Netanyahu at this point wants, he was a little happy to allow them and bring them into the majority party so that he would give them cabinet seats in areas that were of interest to them as they were doing things. So the government itself is, a lot of the policies that we see that they want to bring forward or that they want to change are not policies that we're so thrilled about. Challenging some of the beliefs that we have as a liberal community, including the recognition of us as liberal Jews and what that means for us when traveling, or for those that would want to make aliyah to Israel too.
The changing of the law of return, where one grandparent's enough for you to make aliyah to become a citizen of Israel.
So, like here, they have elections every 4 years, except for when a government, when somebody challenges the government and they don't have the majority anymore. And as Rabbi talked about hope, my hope is that comes before 4 years.
Yeah, we'd like to see this government fall, as they've had 5 elections for 3.5 years in Israel. So they keep having a challenge with that as well. It's greatly alarming. Well, Terry Gross had a commentator on yesterday as well, who from Haaretz, I think, or who has followed Netanyahu for 30 years. You know, a lot of us, I personally, love Netanyahu in the first Persian Gulf War. If you recall, he was a spokesperson for Israel. He was the ambassador from Israel to the UN, or to the US at the time, and he was on the news every single night, every station, so articulate, and really representing Israel so beautifully in 1990-91. As a part of the Likud party, he's moved farther and farther to the right. It's interesting, one commentator saying, like, his personal beliefs, he's a very socially liberal individual. He's a secular Jew. He's not a religious Jew. I mean, he'll line up with the religious Jews, these homophobic, one-state solution, kick the Arabs out of the land of Israel, absorb the West Bank as part of Israel, all the things that me, don't agree with. So these are the challenges. But Rabbi's right. It's his agenda, I believe, is to keep himself out of jail. Hence why they want to change the judicial law now. In Israel, as opposed to our government, where our federal judges are approved by Congress. In Israel, they're not. It's totally separate. So now they're doing judicial oversight by the Knesset, by the government, which will change how judges work. And so judges are up in arms as well. But that's one way to control the fact that judges don't put you in jail. It's really convenient, again, and alarming. Anyone want to ask an easy question, a really happy question? Really? Rob? How do you chase flash floods? It was really cool.
Usually you run away from them, by the way. Most people
Safely. So, the hiking in the desert, people think the biggest cause of death, of course, is dehydration. But it's actually flash floods, because rain can happen in Jerusalem, and 2 hours south, suddenly, walls of water can cascade through a wadi and absorb people and kill them. So that's what you have to be aware of and know. It's a desert country, so rain isn't that often, especially in the south. I've never experienced that down there before. Literally lightning and thunder on Masada and rain. And we were staying in the desert at the time. We were going to the Dead Sea to go floating in the Dead Sea. Dean can attest how beautiful it was. It was 75 degrees. It was lovely, perfect weather. It was 60 degrees, all clouds and rain. But you're in the Dead Sea, you got to go floating. But we're not going to stay there for 2 hours and sun ourselves. So my tour guide and friend said, "You want to go chase flash floods?" So I'm like, "Sure, let's go." And he has these different apps and is part of these different, nature networks. And so we knew where to go. You're either in high enough places that you're safe as they come down. So I have video of water cascading out of mountains. That was just remarkable. And then the coolest thing, as we were driving away, the sun came out and we saw a complete rainbow, total rainbow. And I had pictures of our group of kids standing under the rainbow. It was just magnificent. The kind of things like we can never predict or plan for, that suddenly the bus driver saw it first, and the bus driver swerves and pulls over. I'm like, what's wrong? He's like, come, come, come. And he's like running us all out to see the rainbow, right? It was wild. So we saw some things that I've never experienced before like that kind of water in Israel. And of course, Israelis are excited for that because that's their lifeblood. They've had a couple good years of rain, and so it's been really, the Galilee last summer was at some of the highest levels it's been in decades. So that's really positive. It's nice to get some sunshine. We had great weather in Tel Aviv and Jerusalem. That was the good news. So anyway, it's really cool. I have videos of we were doing a great hike as well, where it's dry, suddenly it gets wet, and one of the children, who was 12 years old, lost his shoe, because my guide said, go right through there, you'll be fine, and his shoe got stuck in the mud. So you leave a little of Israel, it's all good. Well, we give thanks for the sweetness of our time together of this day as we rise together and join with Cantor in the blessing over the wine with the Kiddush.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Amen. L'chaim. Hard to do both. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha.
May God bless you. May God protect you.
Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chuaneka.
May God shine upon you, and may God shine through you.
Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yisim lecha shalom.
May God always be a part of who we are as individuals, as a community, giving all us our hopes, all of our blessings, and most of all, shalom, peace.
V'yisim lecha shalom.
Good Shabbos, everyone. Shabbat shalom.
Good Shabbat.